So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, and welcome to this session on challenge number 1, understand and beat marine pollution. So today we'll be talking about ways to understand and map land and sea-based sources of pollutants and contaminants and their potential impact on human health and ocean ecosystems, and develop solutions to remove and mitigate this pollution. So this session should address how best practices could help tackling marine pollution. Also, there are any clear gaps on best practices in the domain of marine pollution that we want to look at. So today we have an amazing lineup to answer this main question. The first speaker, I will first introduce all the speakers, and then you can go ahead and present one after the other. I will call your name every time, but first I will present this amazing lineup that we have today. So first we have Kostas Topouzelis. He's an associate professor in the Department of Marine Sciences at the University of the Aegean, and he heads the amazing Marine Remote Sensing Group. Then we have Fantina Madricardo. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce any name. She's a senior researcher at the Institute of Marine Science in Venice, Italy. She's the scientific coordinator of the H2020 project Maelstrom, and she's a member of the Blue Mission Med team. Then we have the famous Alex Turra. He's a professor at the Oceanographic Institute of the University of Sao Paulo, and coordinator of the UNESCO Chair for Ocean Sustainability. Following, we have Vesna Kuralt. She is an anthropologist with a PhD in market communication, who works as a researcher at the National Institute of Chemistry in Slovenia and the project manager of REMEDIES. And I hope she will tell us more about this REMEDIES project. Following, we have Zacharie Sohou, sorry. He is a fisherman, but also a biologist, oceanographer, and the director of IRHOB, the Institut de Recherche Halieutique et Océanologique du Benin, and professor and researcher at the Zoology Department at the Calavi University. And to finish this amazing panel, we have Marisa Almeida. She's a researcher from CIIMAR, the Interdisciplinary Center of Marine and Environmental Research of the University of Porto. And she's also the co-I of NetTag Preventing, Avoiding, Mitigating Environmental Impacts of Fisheries Gears, Fishing Gears, and Associated Marine Litter. Thank you all for accepting to be a part of this amazing session. And without further ado, I will give the floor to Kostas so he can present to us his work at the University of the Aegean. Thank you, Kostas.
Thank you so much, Audrey. Thank you for the invitation. It's very nice being here and presenting the work that we have done the last years in using the remote sensing for marine litter detection. So my presentation will go like this. 3 things that are going to be mentioned in my presentation. I will talk a bit about the plastic litter project that we run here in the University of Aegean. Very few things about the history of plastic litter projects, and then I will show you some results that we have from that project. Then I will refer to Coastal Marine Litter Observatory. It's a system that we can detect marine litter using drone imagery and AI, artificial intelligence algorithm. And then I will brief talk about submerged marine litter plastic project that we had here in the university with the Ocean Cleanup. It's a funded project from the European Space Agency. So what is plastic litter project? Actually, we create artificial plastic targets that we put on the sea surface, and we develop algorithms in order to detect the plastics, and we try to find out what are the limitations of the satellite images in order to detect them. We have started these projects since 2018, and during the years we have developed different targets. Here you can see the big ones that we started in 2018. It was the first try. Then we created smaller targets because we wanted to find out if we were able to see a smaller portion of plastics on the sea surface. Then we went to 2020 and we tried to find out if we can simulate the actual plastics that exist with a plastic HDPE net. And then we created huge targets, more than 300 square meters, in order to be able to use the unmixing algorithms that we developed here. This is the first result from the experiment in 2018, and here the important thing is that we try to find out if we are able to see the plastics in a pixel, but not containing full pixel, which means that we would like to see if we are able to find the portion of plastic that exists on a pixel of satellite imagery. This happens also the next year. So here we go to 2020. As you can see, we have a smaller target of 7-meter diameter. And then we created the huge one. And this is quite nice because we are able to be sure about the spectral signature of the plastics and not plastics and the lookalikes, that those things that they look like plastics on the sea surface. And using those targets, then we're able to do the detection using the several algorithms. Here you can a Sentinel-2 image with the target and the natural debris target, the wooden target. And with these several dates, we're able to develop the algorithm to do the spectral analysis. Here, just a graph that shows you that we trying to separate the HDPE target from the wooden one in the different spectra. We have seen that this is not very easy, mainly because the reflectance is very low. So we have to face several uncertainties, and most of them are coming from the atmospheric correction. So we have to be very sure about the pre-processing that we do in order to do the detection. However, using this algorithm, we are able to produce some results, and these results are quite nice if we go in binary format, so 0 and 1. And with 0 are those pixels that they don't contain plastics, and with 1 those that they contain plastics. This classification was quite nice. However, we face several problems to do false positives, which means that we detect several phenomena that they are not plastics. In 2022, we initiated a first experiment with a floating plastic target, which is really nice, and we can use it in larger area. And this is very important for us because we can scale up the experiment, and we can use larger targets, and we can move it also in other areas. For sure, these experiments are open, the data are open, and we give it to the scientific community. Here you can see several publications that come out from these projects, and we're very happy to share the data for our web page, also the in situ measurements that we do very often. Actually, we were going there every 5 days that the sediment was overpassing from our experiment site. So the plastic filter project is quite nice. We produce very nice results and have very good knowledge on how to detect plastic detection in the sea surface using satellite images. However, we have several other issues that we want to face. And one of those were the litter that exists on the beaches. And that's why we thought that we should create a system to do this. And through the years, we have developed the Coastal Marine Observatory. This is a really nice system that can visualize the marine litter on the shore, on the beaches, using drone data and an AI algorithm. Here you can see the actual sequence of the work that we do. We have a flight protocol. When we have an acquisition request, then we insert the raw data to the system. And once we have them into the system, we start the pre-processing with some geovisualization techniques that we have. And then we end up with the point litter maps, which means that we have the categories of litter, we have the litter density maps, the confidence level of detection, and we can do a spatial temporal analysis. We detect 7 different classes of litter with the plastics, rubber, cloth, paper, wood, and metallic and glass. And we want to be sure that we can detect at least plastics that are larger than a half of centimeter. And this works quite nice when you see it in the reality. Here you can see an example. We have an area here in Lesbos, the flight path of the drone. You can see the actual images and the aerial images from the drone. And when we insert this to the system, then we have the detection. We have the point litter from one side. We have the litter accumulation maps and the confidence level in the end. And this is very nice for us because we can do the spatial and temporal analysis later on. We believe that we have the largest database of aerial images in the world. We have been already in 5 different countries, in Portugal, Greece, Israel, Ghana, and very recently in Japan. We have more than 14,000 aerial images, and the detection works quite nice with 85% of accuracy. I have an example here. This is quite a nice example because it came out very fast in Ghana, in Jebu Planet conference that we had there. And we went to the beach with Ignatius Williams from the University of Ghana and Jose Mtini from Air Center. We were able to collect the data and process them very fast, less than half an hour to produce this point detection map. And then we have this marine litter accumulation map. Last but not least, I would like to talk about the submerged plastic litter. What we have done here, it's a joint project with the Ocean Cleanup funded from the European Space Agency. We created a large structure and we put it inside on the sea column. That was 2 meter height. We use it for 2 months. And we have 6 different types of plastic targets. We used a hyperspectral camera and an optical camera in order to find the different spectra of the plastics inside the water. We have several problems in order to find the right path in order to do the detection. However, we're able in the end to have a really nice data set of the submerged plastics. And here you can see some images of the target and the orthophotos that we created. Here it's some examples of the different heights that we fly with the drones in order to find out which one was the optimum one. And once we have the aerial images, then we can do the spectral analysis. We have the orthophotos and we compare it with the measurements that we did on the lab. And in the end, we have the spectral profiling from different plastic types. All these are available to anyone because we have published and it is free for access. And here I have the 3 links that we can use in order to find out all the information from the Plastic Litter Project and the Coastal Marine Litter Observatory. It was very fast, sorry, but really short time. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Kostas. I think it was really, really clear and inspiring how much you actually do across the remote sensing in general of floating litter and then what's on the beach and then submerged litter plastic as well. Well, thank you very much. We will now move on to Fantina, and she will give us, I believe, a presentation of the great project H2020 Maelstrom. If you want to unmute and maybe share your screen.
Yes, sorry, okay, I share my screen. I hope you can see it.
I will tell you.
Now,
yes,
can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
In fact, I wasn't sure if I had to talk only about Maelstrom, so I decided to talk more about many experiences that we are carrying out in the Med. I hope you can see my screen well.
We can see your screen, and it's. Yes. I see the title, and I can just tell you it's perfect.
Okay, so I will give a few examples, but of course I'm happy to answer the questions about Maelstrom particularly that I'm a coordinator of. So I also want to stress that in Europe there are many activities that are aiming, of course, towards the sustainable development goal of reducing pollution, and specifically to we have the mission of restore our ocean waters by 2030. Within this context, we are coordinating, so CIIMAR is coordinating a coordination strategic action that is really meant to be supporting the Mediterranean Basin Lighthouse for the implementation of the mission. And it will and really needs to inspire, inform, assess, mobilize, connect, and empower. These are, few words just to really involve all the actors that can take a role in preventing and eliminating pollution in the Mediterranean Sea and waters. So it's more focused on the Mediterranean Sea, but of course, all the best practices can be shared with other basins and other places of the world. The Blue Mission Med is located geographically, as you see here. There are many partners involved among research institutes, but also business companies, private companies, and different regions, and that are all over the Mediterranean basin. So just to give you it seems complicated, but it's not so complicated. So we know that pollution is related to different sources that involve different stakeholders. You see here in the upper left part, of course, we need to do research and innovation, what we need to involve policymakers, civil societies, and we have different sectors of economical sectors that are related to this topic, from fishing to maritime transport, tourism, textile, plastic producers, of course, but also solid waste and water treatment. So we want to involve all of them at the local and the national and Med basin, but also at the European and international level. As I said, we want to contribute to prevent and eliminate pollution from our ocean and sea. And how do we do this? Of course, we do it with different means. With technological innovation is one thing that I will show you some example of, but also through business, social innovation, and citizen engagement. You see that now we are setting up the lighthouse, so the project just started, but we want to be, of course, coherent and aligned with all the EU national local policies, so trying to really have initiatives and actions that are aligned in the Med. We want to provide technical services, governance, and business models, but also which is really important, a well-functioning basin-scale innovation ecosystem that is attractive towards investors and business. So, and of course, very important is the engagement of the society at large. How do we do this? We do this in different ways by trying to connect also the different projects, involving a lot of stakeholders, and capitalizing, of course, on many projects that were already done. And here in this my short presentation, I want to focus on emerging pollutions. So as we saw before, our presentation of that we just precede me about, I'm just talking now about plastics and noise. And I just mentioned a few projects where we are coordinators or we are directly involved, that I will just give some examples, because what we really want to put in practice is to have ocean best practices, in the sense that we go from monitoring really to technical and societal solutions. So here I just say a few words about Maelstrom that I'm currently coordinating. So how does Maelstrom work? So Maelstrom wants really to go from the monitoring, as I said, to identify the litter accumulation hotspots, as we saw in the presentation before. But we also, what we are doing, we have developed, because now the project is already advanced, we are developing and have developed new technologies to remove the litter from the seabed and water columns in coastal areas, because we are in shallow waters here. But then there is a part of the project that is also we have started and is ongoing, that where we actually recycle the litter that we collect, and we want also to marketize. I will show you some examples. It is a big project involving 14 European partners. Here you see who is involved. So what are the objectives of Maelstrom? So first of all, as I said, we want to monitor also to assess the effectiveness and the impact of the marine litter removal solutions that we have proposed in the project. In fact, we are monitoring before the cleaning activities and after the cleaning activities, so to assess really the environmental sustainability of the technologies that we develop. And here you see some results. We have 2 demo sites. One is in Portugal and close to Porto, in the Ave River, and one is in Venice in Italy, in the Northern Adriatic Sea. So what we have done, I don't have time to go too much into detail, but we have developed 2 main technologies that we also tested very successfully last summer in June in Venice. You see here a sketch, but it's a reality. We did really clean some areas of the Venice coastal area, the Venice Lagoon, with a floating platform that uses a robot to really collect automatically the litter from the seafloor. That is really difficult to be recovered in comparison with other with stranded or floating litter. So we have developed that, and is already patented by our partner Tecnalia, the technology. And but also we are now implementing. We are really in the phase of the implementation. Probably in next month we will inaugurate the bubble barrier that will be installed in the Ave River in Portugal, that is really meant to prevent the litter to reach the ocean. It will be powered by floating, also by floating solar panels. So just to go to the next part of that I was talking about feeding the circular economy. We have already developed sorting robots that really sorts through also the different type of plastics and different type of materials. That's really crucial using artificial intelligence that is developed by our partner Tecnalia in Spain. But we have also done different kind of recycling. This is already tested, and already we have new products. You see here a little table produced with nets that we collected in the Venice coastal area. You might see the colors, also it's a bit small, but you might see the colors of the nets in the table. This is it was done by mechanical recycling by our partner GIS Recycling in northern Italy. But we also, we also do chemical recycling, because what we did, we collected the collected marine litter was chemically recycled into pyrolysis oil and then refined into marine gas oil. And this is also something that we have done, and we have proved, and we have published that is possible. It's also possible to do other things with these molecules that we obtained. This is also some things that we have shown so far. What I want to stress is that we also follow all the process through the Maelstrom app that tells you also that can give you the Maelstrom guarantee a marine litter tag. So we know that the product will have a tag saying, okay, this was done with the marine litter and the technology of Maelstrom. So just to, of course, the project has already important objectives, including clustering of blood blue technology for joint plastic strategy-oriented efforts. One of these efforts is, of course, being here with you today and being part of these networking activities. And what we have done so far during Maelstrom, we have already promoted 3 international workshops on removal, marine litter, and circular economy that were held in Venice in 2021, 2022, and 2023, where we invited different projects and companies and everybody. So really focused on dealing with the marine litter issue and what we do with it when we collect it. So we have also, of course, done many engagement activities. I will not go into all of them, but you can see everything in our webpage. I just want to mention that we have also published policy briefs concerning the need of monitoring and the need of regulating also the riverine litter, which is less regulated and not included yet in the Water Framework Directive in the monitoring system. So Maelstrom already, and so we invite you to join our forum and our position and to support our position papers.
Martina, I'm sorry, but could you please wrap up already,
yes,
because we are past time.
Okay, sorry about that. I just want to say that we are also working in deep sea. This is the live stream. I just want to mention very briefly that we are also focusing on underwater noise, because underwater noise is really relevant as an emerging pollutant that wasn't there before the Industrial Revolution, but it is now a really very crucial and very important source of pollution that we actually don't know. So we actually don't know at all, and so, or we know very little. And so I just want to show you what we did in Italy-Croatia Interreg project, where we actually done the longest and widest underwater sound monitoring in the Mediterranean Sea here, and the data are public and can be downloaded. Here you see the reference. The data are public because we believe that it's important that this is shared with everybody. So what we do with this data is really to to also have the distribution of noise with modeling and arrive at the regulated sound maps. So to include this data, in the maritime spatial planning. This is also a sort of solution. Is not a technological solution, it's more a governance solution. So thank you. I'm sorry if I was too long.
Thank you very much. I just take this occasion to tell everyone participating to this webinar that they can ask their question in the Q&A, and also we'll be vigilant, looking at the chat, looking at the Q&A. So please ask your questions, and then we will ask these questions either offline. People, the presenters can answer directly in the Q&A, or we can ask them during the panel discussion. So thank you again, Fantina, for giving this very interesting presentation, especially going from marine litter to noise, because we speak a lot about physical and chemical pollution of the ocean, but very seldom about the noise pollution. So thank you for that. We're moving on now to Alex Turra. Alex Turra will give us a presentation now on his activities in Sao Paulo. Do you want to share your screen, Alex?
Yes, now my mic is working. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, just not in presenter's mode.
I will do that.
Mm-hmm.
You can see
it's
properly?
Absolutely perfect.
Fantastic. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Luis. It's a pleasure and a great opportunity to be here to share some thoughts about this important issue, and nice to be with you all here in this panel. So I'm Alexander Turra. I'm here in the São Paulo University in the Oceanographic Institute and Institute of Advanced Studies in the UNESCO Chair for Ocean Sustainability. And the idea of this talk is to discuss this problem, which is represented by these pictures. So we are talking about marine litter, and as you can see here, plastics is represented in almost all of these types of items, but every item has a different pathway, a different use. So this means that we have a very, very, very complex issue, which demands specific solutions, very specific solutions for every of these pathways, considering the design of the products, the number of items that are sold, the way people use these items, the way people deploy or dispose these items and so on, and what's being done later on. So it's a very complex issue that relates to different types of stakeholders in society, because we need to engage here the private sector, but also the government sector, and also people. And people means teachers, people means students, people mean my aunt, and so on. We need to make them understand this problem and work individually and collectively so that we can move on and tackle this problem. So this is highly complex, and we need to move on. And I brought here some ideas on how to bring solutions. That is why what we are trying to do here in Brazil, engage in different sectors. That is based on three ways or three strategies. One based on indicators. So we are trying to understand. Hotspotting, also understanding, and beating. So we talk about governance. And there are three initiatives that are trying to support and bring energy and science to these types of approach. So we have here the state strategic plan, São Paulo strategic plan for monitoring and assessment of marine litter, the Blue Keepers program, which is a big initiative to identify the sources of marine litter in the continent, and the Clean Ocean Network, which is a kind of movement to integrate different actors to understand and face marine litter. So when we talk about indicators, we need to recall on the GESAMP report 99, the guidelines for monitoring and assessment of plastic litter in the ocean, which brings us an interesting way to look at this issue. This brings us the need to focus on policy concerns so that we can improve our dialogue with decision makers and with society, and integrate the different indicators into this framework, so that this will help us to identify which kind of indicator we need to select and to generate. So if we're talking about tourism, microplastics perhaps is not the main indicator, and perhaps macroplastics in beaches could represent better the type of impact the litter could have on tourism activity. It's different from food security or food safety, because people are eating microplastics, more microplastics than macroplastics. It's difficult to say these two words because they are very similar. So it's important to understand. And this is highly important because there are some difficulties to generate this kind of information. It costs, we need to have institutional arrangements, we need to have people that will generate this data, and these arrangements are not so well structured in some parts of the world. So it's a big challenge. Also making a note of IMDOS, which is an integrated marine debris observing system, which is a kind of platform or strategy to make the data that are generated locally to be saw in as a big picture, integrating with what is being demanded by UNEP in terms of a global view of marine litter, in a way to inform advancements in SDG 14.1. So we need to look very locally to generate some types of information like beach litter, and then upscale this so that we have a global view. And this is also a big challenge that IMDOS is helping to overcome. Talking about hotspotting, it's it's not trivial to make this properly, and we created a big project here in Brazil to try to understand what would be the limitations and the potentialities to improve the idea of identification of sources of marine litter. So we need to involve a huge amount of information based on population density or demography, socio-economic aspects of population, like floating population moving to the coast, or people living in subnormal livelihoods in slums, for example, but also information related to the solid waste management system, and also climate information like rain, wind, so that we would have a global view of the processes that generate and distribute litter along the country, including rivers. And when we saw the quality of the data that we have in Brazil, so that we can use them, we saw that the quality is not so good. So the data available to support hotspotting in countries like Brazil is the quality is very poor. And then we need to improve this. And this is also a big challenge that we need to inform governments so that they fill this gap and improve the estimates. But although most of the data are not so good, some of the data are very good. And then we could have the possibility to generate some models and identify the areas that are more prone to generate litter that can go to the sea. In dark red here, you can see the priority areas that are generating litter to the sea in Brazil. This was published this year, and this represents the dots, the circles represent the main rivers that bring litter to the ocean. You can see number one is the La Plata River. It flows to the sea between Uruguay and Argentina, so not in the Brazilian territory. So we are exporting litter from Brazil to other areas through the rivers. But this is important because we may focus our efforts in putting barriers or investing in other strategies to prevent litter to go to the sea. The final aspect that I would like to share with you is the governance. This picture from UNEP brings us the complexity of the issue so that it can be classified or characterized as a wicked problem. So we need interdisciplinary approach, transdisciplinary approach, we need an integrated approach and adaptive approach. And this is not easy to do because you need to engage different sectors of society that have different responsibilities within this big issue. And then we are trying to facilitate such a participatory process of governance in coastal states in Brazil. So we are using states because we had a gap in governance in the federal government in the last 4 years. So the government was not interested in environmental issues, but the states were. And then we moved it to the states so that we could create some kind of governance strategy or governance arrangement so that they could understand the problem and identify ways to face the problem. So we were intending to foster these governance processes and indicators based on science to combat marine litter. And then in parallel to consolidate an integrated and structured strategy for the monitoring and assessment of marine litter, identifying stakeholders, identifying indicators, identifying institutions that are responsible for storing and delivering data within the country. And this is the challenge we are facing now. We started in São Paulo state, which is in green here, and then we moved it to Rio, and now we are in 7 states. There is one here that's not indicated, which is Rio Grande do Norte. So 7 states that are different levels of discussions, that have different levels of discussions, but we are moving on so that we can understand the problem, we can put the problem in the agenda of the states, and then we will have a very good connection in the next future, in the near future, with the federal government, which is now prioritizing the issue again. So this is the situation, and we understand that if we have institutions, we have dialogue, and we have good indicators, we have good situation, we have a good basements to promote actions to face marine litter. That is our intention and what we are going to make in the next years. So that's the message, Audrey. Thank you very much, and hope to stay in the time.
Thank you, Alex. I think it was a really comprehensive view of what's happening in Brazil, and it gave us, after the two presentations from Europe, a more global view of what's happening. Looking forward to have this other presentation from Africa, from Zacharie. But first, we are going back to Europe with Vesna, and she will give us a presentation, I believe, on the project REMEDIES, and I'm looking forward to hear about it. All right, it's perfect. Yes. Go ahead. And I love that photo.
Thank you. It shows the urgency of what we are facing, and it is a challenge, a one that we can only solve together. And I see that all the projects came to the same conclusion. It's a challenge that we have to tackle holistically. So this is also the approach. Is it moving, the slides?
It is not on my side.
Try again. Now?
Yes.
Okay. So what REMEDIES is, it's a Horizon mission program. It's one of the mission projects that Fantina already mentioned. It just started very recently, and we are deploying microplastic litter valorization and prevention pathways. So we started in December last year. So it's a fairly new project, very ambitious, and the National Institute of Chemistry in Slovenia is a coordinator, and it involves 23 partners across Europe, and there's also one in North of Africa, Morocco. So it's very different stakeholders, from research institutions to foundations, NGOs, SMEs, developing technologies. So we really try to involve all the stakeholders. We are building it in 3 pillars: monitoring and detection, collection and valorization, and prevention and reuse. This is how we divided the technologies we're going to be developing in the next 4 years. And this is very, very shortly the introduction of what we will develop. So monitoring and detection was mentioned several times already as an approach to tackling the challenge. So we're going to be using drones, and as well the dashboard that's going to enable us to understand the situation. There's also buoys that we put a GPS on, that we throw in the river, and that we're going to track how they're floating to the sea, to also understand how rivers are entering the sea, which is where the pollution comes from in the first place. Then the next pillar is collection and valorization. So here we're also involving the citizens with cleanups. We plan to do 115 of them in 8 countries. We also are going to be doing some river cleanups with different technologies. We have a partner, River Cleaning, who developed one. We will use filtrations for microplastic in washing machines, as well as in the marinas for cleaning the boats, and clam and skim technology. And then the last pillar, which is in my opinion the most important, because if we manage to prevent the plastic litter entering our waters, we have won, basically. So prevention and reuse is very important. We are developing also zero waste natural cosmetics, biodegradable fishing gear, as well as zero waste cups that will be implemented at festivals. So as well as water fountains. So we will try to reach the audiences and also raise awareness at the same time, so people are more aware of how they are behaving, and maybe we could change their behavior, which is the aim with the prevention and reuse. At the same time, we will be inviting others to help us scale and replicate these solutions. So our goals, very shortly, are to monitor macro and microplastic waste in 8 Mediterranean countries, collect and valorize over 400 tons of plastic litter in both marine and riverine environment, prevent the further deposition of 61 tons of plastic, reach over 1/4 of citizens globally, and also to distribute 500,000 of cascade funding. We actually have one open call running at the moment. There's going to be another one next year. I will present that in detail a tiny bit later. And to scale and replicate these innovations in 33 more sites, as well as doing 115 coastal cleanups. So if anyone see themselves in any of these actions, please reach out. We're happy to overachieve and even deliver more than we plan. So we are definitely on a mission and engaging different stakeholders, because we acknowledge that it's the only way to tackle this issue is together. So we are creating this movement involving all stakeholders who want to contribute to a plastic-free ecosystem, because only together we can change our habits, and this is how we will be able to co-create a new future. So one of our missions is also this 20 tons challenge. That's how we call it. It's related to the cleanups that we're doing. We're gonna collect more than 20 tons. There's 8 countries involved. Those are Slovenia, Sardinia, Cyclades, Porquerolles, and Morocco. So we have different sites around the Mediterranean, but we're also inviting anyone else to join the initiative if they see to be joining. And the open calls, there are 2 of them on 2 different topics. The first is on the second pillar on collection and valorization. This is the one that is open right now. The deadline is 15th of November. I'm sorry, it started on the 15th of September and it's open for 2 months. So the deadline is 15th of November. It's a call to all public bodies who would like to engage in collection and valorization activities. The grant is up to 100,000. Altogether, we have 200,000 to grant. We also will have a webinar on the topic on the 31st of October, and there was one already in the beginning of the month, and the recording of this one can be found on our YouTube channel if anyone is interested. And everyone are also welcome to reach out on the open call at remedies-4-ocean.eu if they have any questions, or of course to me, or they can ask questions in this session. And then the next one is going to be next year. It's going to be focusing on the 3rd pillar on prevention and reuse. So we're going to be looking to find development of zero waste supply chain that will enhance the prevention of plastic litter. And that one will actually have a higher budget of 300,000. As I said, we are engaging the citizens a lot, not just with citizen science and cleanups, but also we will have artists and research residencies next year. So it's an opportunity as well to raise awareness in a more creative way. So everyone interested in engaging with the local community and display on an online exhibition, please follow us. We will have this call next year. And then again, as well, a hackathon, Plastic Fantastic Hackathon that will be remote. So you do not have to move anywhere. It will take 6 months. It will also take place next year, and it will mobilize different groups of stakeholders, from experts, water activists, social entrepreneurs, so they could together come up with solutions that will be more innovative and will change our ways. And then in the end, the 3 best suggested ideas will be selected and incubated in the Impact Hub of Athens, which is one of our partners. So this is us very shortly. I will be happy to respond to any questions. And these are the social media where we can be reached and where we post everything that is going on in our network. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vesna, for this presentation that gives a really holistic approach to tackling the problem of pollution in the Mediterranean Sea. It's really nice to see how you go from monitoring all the way to reuse. And I couldn't agree more with you that prevention is definitely the key, because plastic that is not in the ocean is better plastic to me. And the best plastic is the one that doesn't exist, of course. All right, moving on south to Benin, if I remember well. Yes, I will pass the floor to Zacharie. If you can stop sharing, Vesna, and Zacharie, if you have a presentation to share, this is the moment to do it.
Thank you very much. I present you some activities we are doing in our institute. Institut de recherche halieutique et océanologique du Benin. Then we know Benin is a small country. It's here, the Gulf of Guinea. That is some data on Benin. And now just it's a new institute, it's not an old institute. Now we are working in many areas. Our topic is to conduct research environment to know marine and lagoon and lake coastal for its preservation, because our issue is to preserve the ocean and to preserve also marine resources. And implementation of system forecasting and managing exploitation renewable and non-renewable resources. Then we are working in marine area in all aspects. Now we have to design, for example, to develop national fish and ocean research program to ensure coordination and control, and to identify problems that recur in marine area, in science adjacent area, because we are working in a coastal area. We cannot separate the coastal area from a marine area, because they are neighbor and they have influence in this area. And then we are going to ensure that scientific and technical information and popularization with various professional criteria and site concern, because we are working, when we are making research, sometimes we are collaborating with population in situ to make our research, maybe to collect the data with us, maybe to do something with us. And they are at the beginning of our process in all projects we are making. Now, just a software, I cannot. For data, for example, for data collecting, for example, we have some equipment to collect some data. Onset data, we have onset data. Onset is a small equipment we are using to collect the data. We have data since 2005. We have some data we are collecting. And we have data also, BUYO data, MSK data. We project GMS program, Global Monitoring Environment Security in Africa. We have camera data and coastal. Camera data is just a camera we are putting on the beach, and who's collecting the beach states in real time. We have some multi-parameter. We are collecting data on sargassum and cetacean. Then we have onset data. We have onset here. That presentation is just a small we are putting in some area. And we are doing this one in a framework of one project named ProPower. And in this project, we are in the Gulf of Guinea, many countries. We have Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. We are putting sensor, we collect data. We have data bank in the framework of this project, for example, and we have the publication on it. Then we continue till now. We continue to collect this data with the sensor. We know that we have some comparison with some country, for example, what we have is some countries. Just is a comparison of data. We have Buyo, for example, we have it. No, just we have this problem now, or with this Buyo, and we just remove it. And the port authority, they have a new Buyo, and the problem is a problem of vandalism in our coast. That because today the profiler was stolen. Under the Buyo, the profiler was stolen, and just we are collecting data of temperature data and wind speed data, humidity. That is how to deploy the Buyo. Now we have data, we have meteorology, meteorological data, oceanographic data, we have it. I just part of some project we have. And for coastal erosion too, that we are collecting data with this equipment, for example, to do for profile of the beach profile. And we have it along our coast from the Togo border to Nigeria border, along the coast. That's the camera we have. This just the camera is put in here, and you have a vision who is collecting the data. We have some data we collecting, and with this data we can do some analysis to do sound. The sound collected in the period we can show it. And now we have some project, for example, that is just it's data, and we have cost for bathymetry data too. We have and some analysis. I'm just going to the this is forecasting activities we are doing to focusing how to do we have wave data for wave data and theft data to show to have to prevent population of the dangers we have in the period. We just do it in real time. And for the marine litter, for marine litter, we have some project. We have first one project with FAO, for example, who is focusing our project is focused to identify the plastic debris in the beach sand. You know that the beach sand is a gear the fishermen they are used from the beach to catch the fish. Then this gear is collect a lot of the marine debris. Because of that, we focus our attention, we focus our objective on this gear and to collect the data with this one, and to collect data also on the beach where the activity they deploy the activity. Toys is in a village, fisherman village. Then they are doing the action, and we saw. Also, we have some project for example, some activity with ESCO in Cape Coast in Ghana to collect all activity in marine debris we are doing, we are collecting. And now with a POGO partnership of global observation in collaboration with Vesna in Austin, we have a project on a citizen collecting data. In this project, for example, we are collecting the data with the student, with the schoolboy who is working, who study in environment, aquatic water. We are working with them, and we have two objectives. The first objective is to characterize the marine litter and to give to this schoolboy some skill, how to collect the data, to pull them to marine science is the objective. And in framework of this project, for example, of this project, we collect some data in not mainly in Benin. No, we have in some country, for example, in Benin, in Ghana, in Morocco, in Malaysia, and we collect data in this country to compare what we have in this country. And the result is show that we have the same problem in this country. We have a similar problem because the characterization of the marine litter is the same practically in all countries we have. And at the end of this project, for example, we know that students they have skill to collect the data, how to analyze, because we have macroplastic, mesoplastic, and microplastic. In the first two stage, for macroplastic, we train them for macroplastic, and for the mesoplastic also we have common methodology in all countries to characterize this the marine litter, how many we have, and which kind we have. And we know that we have for my country, for example, we have marine litter, we have a lion bag. Plastic bag is a lot of we find in my country, for example. And in this to fight against this use of plastic in my country, for example, government have taken a decree to ban a use of no biodegradable plastic. No, now till now, you know that is very difficult because we have our border with neighbor country, for example, with Nigeria, for example. Nigeria is producing of petrol. Then they have a lot of factory who is making a lion bag, for example. Because of that, it's very difficult today to control really if we have this decree is efficient or not. No, we can know that if we are popular this decree, for example, with a student, with a schoolboy, and they know that we cannot use the plastic debris, we cannot use the plastic bag to collect, to buy anything. And that they know if. And we know that with the students, the youth, for example, is better for them, and they can take a citizen attitude better than with the older people we are, for example, because we have some habits that, for example, is not allow us to respect this law, for example. So I think that we can do a lot with this with marine litter issue, because we can do it. We can do again in the marine water, for example. If we have some gear or some equipment, we can do it to collect it, to characterize it in our country. No, just we have first this one. We have a project on mangrove forestry preservation, and we know that the causes of this preservation we have this for construction. They are using the women. They are using for salt production. For example, government today with this forestry, mangrove forestry, they have some decree which is ban utilization of this of mangrove in any activities. And then the government have some forestry of other kind of tree, for example, to allow them and to use it. And some new technique, modern technique also with solar energy, and with solar energy with gas, for example, to use it. No,
I'm sorry, Zacharie, to cut you there. If you could just wrap up really quickly, that would be great. Thank you.
No, I just finished now. So the
Okay.
last slide. Just we also preserve the mangrove tree with a woman who is collecting oyster, because with women they are collecting oyster on the roof of the mangrove tree, and sometimes they are cut it if they are in hurry. And we know that for this one, we teach them how to make a barrier for the barrier with the rope, and the oyster is to connect it on the rope, not on the rope. Then they can collect. The women can collect it to preserve it in the mangrove trees. Thank you very much. I am so long, and I'm going in many activities with this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zacharie, on this overview of what is being done in Benin. I'm sure that we'll have plenty of questions for you in the panel discussion. But first, before we reach that panel discussion, we have one last but not least, as we say, a presentation from Marisa, and I think she will give us an overview of the NetTag Plus project. If you can stop sharing your screen, perfect, and then Marisa, you can start sharing yours.
Yes, it's okay.
All right, this is perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and good afternoon to all. So I'm the co-PI of the NetTag Plus, and this is a project that came after NetTag, that was a funded project from IOUSP. And with NetTag Plus, we really want to upgrade and upscale all the solutions and the prevention, mostly, that we develop under this NetTag. Because in fact, and as we are seeing here in the different projects, I think now we are on the verge of really looking for prevention and for solutions. We already know how things are. We already know that things are bad. So we really need to start working on how to tackle it. And so we kept the original consortium and add a few more. And the idea, because the first one was concentrated in the north of Portugal, north of Spain, in Galicia. And so now we want to translate everything into the Mediterranean area and be included in the, also connected with the lighthouse of the Mediterranean. And so we brought a few more partners into the consortium, and we have partners from different sectors, and we have in fact a great academia industry collaboration among the project, because we need to have all the key players in the consortium. We can have great ideas, but we need to implement it with the collaboration of everybody, and we need to hear everybody, and everybody has to have their point of view, because if you bring prevention solutions or other type of solutions for the litter, but you don't involve everybody on board, you will end up with things that will not work and will not be accepted. So we are mainly focused on the litter produced on the on the fisheries sector. So we have a lot of stakeholders from the fishing industry, and that's where we are focused on. And the idea is to focus with our concept is on three main innovative and sustainable solutions. So we want to prevent, avoid, and mitigate. As I said, prevention and avoid is the key now, but in fact we need to mitigate already what we have there. So one of these solutions is actually prevent, where we want to work with fishers. We have been working with them in the previous NetTag, so they are actually members of the consortium. The Association of Fishers are here, and they have an opportunity to have their voice heard, and we want to show their role as guardians and cleaners of the ocean. And then we have two other solutions, avoid and mitigate, that are much more based on technological solutions that we are developing together with fishers. So the idea are coming, and all the partners regarding this technological developments are working with fishers to know if this will work with the fishers. What are the constraints to implement this? What are the needs on this? So as I said, one of them is prevent. So we want to empower the fishery sectors. We want that fishers adopt more environmental friendly best practice to prevent marine litter and to prevent ghost gears, so to prevent the loss of gears. And we want to do this, we want to recognize and reward these volunteer services that they already have in retrieving marine litter, because they already collect a lot of marine litter when they are fishing. But we want to work also with fishing ports, with harbors, because if the fishers bring the litter to the ports, we need to know what to do with them. Just to say that this solution, we are developing workshops with fishers, but these are co-created workshops in the sense that we are developing the materials together with the fishers to address issues that are really relevant to them regarding the marine litter and how we could solve this problem. But then when it comes to the workshops, it's not us researchers or the industry that it's or the technological partners, the engineers that are giving these workshops are in fact the fishers. So fishers for fishers, that's one of the key things, so that the language is the same and we can pass on the message. The other solution is based on what we already start on the NetTag, which is to develop an acoustic tag that can be attached to the fishing gears. And this wants to prevent the loss of gears. In the sense, not the loss of gear, so we can lose the gear, so a fisher can be fishing and can lose the gear due to numerous problems, but we want to have a tool that very easily the fisher knows where the net is, because sometimes the nets are lost, the gears are lost, and they flow away with the currents. And even when the fishers try to collect them, they don't know where they are. So with these tags, the net or the gear has this tag, this acoustic tag, that the fisher can activate. The tag is unique to that fisher, in the sense that only the owner of the gear that has the codes for the tag. And the tag is silent, so it's only activated by the fisher when he needs to locate it. And then this is connected with a robotic system that also can listen to the gear, to the tag in the gear, and help to recover it from where it's strained. So this can be very important because this robot system can have a camera, so you can easily see where the net or the gear is trapped and adapt the way to recover it. And with this, we want to avoid nets or gears from becoming ghost gears. And then the third solution is a system to be implemented in a robotic tool that will help to detect, map, and track lost gears. So in this case, it will be for gears that are already lost, are already in the bottom or floating away, and together with the fishers, they can be tracked and mapped, and then either the fishers or associations or relevant governing bodies can go there and pick up the nets. So basically, this is our approach. We will have demonstration events to each of these solutions. We are working with the different partners, and we will have, so regarding the prevention, we have fish representatives from 5 countries where we have partners in, and we will have these participative workshops where all the fishers from these different regions will be involved, where this problem of marine litter will be discussed, and where they can give ideas and talk really about their problems and how to really solve them, and then to really have a link with governative bodies to how to reward this role and this services they provide. And this will also have Clean Ocean Day in each of the locations, in where during one day where the fisher is fishing, he also collects the litter, and we want to also see what litter and categorize that litter to show actually the amount of litter that as we know, a lot of litter comes from land. So it's a way to show also how they are being packed by this litter. Then we'll have the void solution, where we are working. We also have a company that produces nets with us, and where we will also work with the fishers how to create tags specific for different types of gears and how that can be implemented. And we'll have this also in our partners as well as in UK. And we also have testing sites in our different 5 countries about the mitigating solutions to be tested. So we are just starting the project. We started in May, so we had a lot already going on with the NetTag. We are already having the fishers on board from the different regions, which is very, very good. And we are really starting to do the activities. The tags are already at a very high level of development. So we sincerely hope that at the end we'll be able to commercialize them. And that's it. I'm glad to respond to any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. This was the last presentation, and this, I would say, almost ready-to-use tool is definitely welcome in the sphere of mitigating the pollution induced by marine litter. So sadly, as you can see, our colleagues, if I remember correctly, Alex Turra, Kostas, and I'm missing one, help me, René. Let me look at my notes.
Fantina.
And Fantina, exactly. Had to go for different important meetings. So it's going to be a panel discussion with just the 5 of us. I have a few questions to ask you. And oh yeah, Jose is reminding me to introduce myself because I forgot to do this at the beginning of the event. So my name is Audrey Hasson. I work as the head of the European office for GeoBlue Planet that was actually mentioned by Kostas before, because we organized last year a symposium in Ghana, and he took the opportunity of traveling to Ghana for our symposium to do some sampling that he presented today. We are working on various activities, including fisheries, sargassum that Zacharie also mentioned, but the topic closest to my heart, because before I joined GeoBlue Planet, I was working on monitoring marine litter from remote sensing, and we are putting together the IMDOS, the Integrated Marine Debris Observing System that Alex Turra went over really quickly because is on our steering committee, and the objective of IMDOS really is to bring together the community that does remote sensing, and ocean best practices is definitely key for us because we want to work together. And when I say together, I speak about globally with all the actors to produce guidelines for the monitoring, the examination of the filters and so on, but also in creating indicators and so on to have, and the data management is really important to make sure that all the data is interoperable and usable by all who want to use it, including scientists and decision makers. Anyways, that was me, but now back to you. And I will go through, I took some notes. I had, I believe, interesting questions for those missing, so too bad for them. I will start with Vesna and your REMEDIES project. It was really interesting to hear about plastic mitigation pathways and innovation, and the 3 core pillars that are monitor, detect, collection, valorization, and prevention and reuse. And my question is about prevention, because apparently we both agree this is key for addressing this issue. And please enlighten me, because I have no clue. Is there any best practices document on prevention? And if you were to create one, like how could you create movement for endorsement from the community working around prevention of marine litter? The floor is yours.
Thank you. Regarding the best practices, I would say they're scattered around. I don't know of one source that would have them all in one spot for you to just go through them. I also think that it seems they're not sufficient, which is why we are inviting others to co-create with us new solutions, hence the hackathon, hence connecting everyone. I think Blue Mission Met is also doing a fantastic job connecting all the innovation actions, because I think together we can come up with better solutions. And I also saw a message from someone from the audience, I assume, about the alternative to zero waste solutions. And I think the main challenge is basically convenience and what is available to consumers. And as long as we have availability of too much plastic everywhere and only plastic, often we don't even have an alternative as a consumer. You can come with your own container and they don't want to fill it because they are obliged to use their own single-use plastic solution. So I think it's also on us as consumers, as individuals, to encourage that. But definitely we should change how we are living, basically. So that's the idea. Also, like, just acknowledging, if you think daily, or you would do a challenge. If you do a challenge, let's do 1 day or 1 week without plastic. Then we would actually realize how much plastic we are using on a daily basis, because we all know that it's a lot, but I don't think we imagine how much it actually is altogether, because it's incredible. And I also wanted to mention, in case you didn't notice, Fantina's also following on her cell phone, if you have a question for her. And yes, Rene,
I was going to say that to Audrey. If she has questions to Fantina, she can reply in the chat, because she's following on the phone.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So she cannot take the floor, but she can answer typing.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And just if you allow me, just two
of course,
seconds.
René, you're the boss here.
Oh no. Concerning what was just said, I had a kind of a seminar inviting lawyers, and the problem with plastic use and plastic production and bags and stuff like that is that on the one hand, it's not in France. Plastic bags are banned. On the other hand, you can buy them, and there is no, let's say, no incentive not to do it. There is no fine. You buy it and you buy it. I mean, because they are available somewhere. So yes, the consumer, well, I don't have any plastic at home at all, but and when I developing or having a meeting, there is a ban on plastic gears and so on. But you have to consider the fact that it's not allowed to produce them, but it's allowed to buy the one that are already produced. So if you go on the open market, you see many of the merchants giving you something in a plastic bag, and there is no fine. So, okay. Sorry.
Completely agreed. And I just want to add something that there are two paths, right? One path is changing our behavior, our habits. As Zacharie said, like, it's easier to change habits from kids than from, I don't want to say older, René. I want to say more experienced human beings.
Yes, I'm a young old guy.
Exactly. But I'm not, I agree, but we don't want to rely, so much on the youth, on the, like, for them to clean up, what happened, like, because of us. I'm not the youth anymore, René. But I just want to share with you that I was in a meeting last week, the first algae summit, European algae summit. And actually, for the first time, I saw a solution that was towards the other bias, which is, kind of like business as usual, but like find solutions that are better for the environment. And there was this company called NotPla, for not plastic, and they do actually the coating from the the paper cups, they have coating inside. They do the coating in algae. They do like cutlery in algae. Everything is biodegradable, but not like PLA, which advertise as it is, but it is not in the marine environment. And they did test in the marine environment, and it is biodegradable. I can't even say it. And most of and it's just like rethinking the packaging. Most of the packaging is actually eatable. They used it for the London Marathon, and it was great because they just saved so many plastic bottles replaced by these eatable like capsules. Anyways, I see that Marisa's hand is up. Would you like to take the floor before I even ask you a question?
Yeah, it's just going on that, and I think it's exactly that. We need a change of habits, but if we have it available, we will not use it. I think it's quite difficult, and also I think that now is so much in the mood that you cannot have plastic at all, and then you're going for other solutions, for paper solutions or stuff like that are not the best, because we cannot recycle, for instance, paper that it's in contact with food because it needs to be impermeabilized and has a lot of other things. So I think there's an equilibrium here. We need to show that plastic is not bad. We need to know how to use it and not overuse it, I think. And that can be tricky, very, very tricky. But it's something that, for instance, I do a lot I go to schools and talk a lot about this marine litter problem and how it comes from the rivers and so on. But I also try not to be so dramatic in the sense that we cannot use it. We should try to balance it. And I think that's
I fully agree. It's all about balance. And when I was talking about these two pathways, which one is change of habit, the other one is change of technology to make sure that we reduce the plastic. I think it's not one versus the other one. I think they should be used in parallel. And also, and this will help me switch to a question I have for Zacharie. I think we need to look at plastic also as sometimes something that is very useful. Like there is no way I will go in a hospital and ask to be hospitalized plastic free, or there is no way I will go to Benin and tell people there to not use water bottles when you don't have running water to a quality standard that is human health is involved. So I think, and that's actually my question for Zacharie, and I had a similar question for Alex, because they were representing both sides of the Atlantic, Global South. Like when it comes to best practices, do you think that best practices should be also developed for the Global South, because the solutions are really different, the issues are really different, and so on? So I just wanted to have your feeling about this. Should we have global ocean practices, best practices, or should we, focus a little bit more and take into account the differences between the economies and the culture and so on?
I think that we have one ocean.
Yes,
not the
of
Ocean
course.
Atlantic, Indian Ocean, and so on. We have one ocean. Then I think that if we are going to fight against bad practice, I think that for all country, mainly for neighbor country, is very useful for us to have the citizen behavior. If not, if we do not anything in over country, neighbor country, for example, if we do anything, and with the current and the wind, the bag is coming, the plastic is coming, then we should have a common regional behavior to facing the plastic users. Citizen practice, we should have it in every country, not only in some country. If not, we cannot succeed. If you are cleaning your beach, you are cleaning your country, your beach, for example, and the current is coming, you cannot stop a current. Then the current is bringing for the over country, and you have it the impact in your country. Then I think that the fight should be a global issue for everybody in any country in the world.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. You know, one ocean, one coast in the end. Yes, go ahead.
We should start with the youth, because they have the young people for schoolboy. We should have awareness with them, and because it's easier for them to have a best practice. We know that, for example, in school, primary school, when the schoolboy they are coming home, for example, from the school, you hear sometimes mama, papa, in the school, our teacher do say that, do not this one, you should have, is a mind of this young people they have, and they can, if we teach them, they have a citizen behavior. I think that we can populate, and then we have this behavior can be citizen behavior can be in every country with everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. No. And you know, your message is even stronger coming from Africa, the youngest continent on Earth, where there is so much innovation and so on. And I'm sure that this young generation can actually make a great change. I have a question for you, because you were talking about schoolboys and citizen science and so on. I just wanted to see if you had some recommendations that you could give the ocean best practices for the creation of best practices for citizen science in West Africa, to make sure that the data that is produced by them is actually used by a scientific community, because that's the key. There is so much beach cleanup, there is so much actions from citizen science that collect data, and actually our other presenters today did show some of these actions. And I wanted to, if you could give us, as a professor at university, if you could give us, you know, recommendation on how we can make sure that all this amazing data is actually be used by the scientific community.
No, if we don't, we should share the data and information in national level. And for example, we should organize some conference and invite some people from other countries, for example, to share the data, to share our mind. We have the example is that we have a joint project from from a lot of countries, for example. Our project named Citizen Collect is from Benin, Ghana, Togo, and Cote d'Ivoire, Malaysia, Morocco. And you know that we can share the data among these communities. It's very easy if we have just one project involve most of the country, and then it's easy to share the data among these people. Because the project is owner of the data, we can share it. You know that today is very difficult to implement all this knowledge. The oversight, I think that the politics, they should have a point to collect a debris, for example, debris management. We should have it beside of the policymaker, and to make available, or with NGO, for example, to make available the sun to collect the bin, to collect the data inside. And then if we are with the student, for example, we are saying that you cannot we teach them that they can have a citizen behavior, that don't put waste on the ground, don't put waste anywhere. They should go to collect point to do it. It's true that in Africa today we don't have we are not yet selected the litter in our from the home, because we put everything together. Now, it's a challenge for us now to separate from our home, and then should be very easier for the government and the NGO who is collecting data to manage with the data, to make available or make not to make data this debris available to change it to do something with that, because all waste is not to throw away. We can transform it. We can transform some. Some are degradable. We can use it for compost, for agriculture, and so on and so on. That is what I think we can do.
Thank you so much, Zacharie. I want to go back to Marisa and your presentation, where you really presented the three core pillars of your project: prevent, avoid, mitigate. I think what was key in your presentation as well was your demonstrative events. Do you use these events to work on best practices in terms of co-design with the fishermen, and how do you work with the government? You mentioned that you were working with the government for some rewards for fishermen who are actually following the guidelines, the best practices that you're developing with them. Can you just share a little bit on this elaboration of best practices in co-design with the users? Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, one of the keys, yes, in the prevent solution where we are working with the fishers, actually in NetTag we already produce best practice guide that now we want to expand to the Mediterranean, so that the fisher has on board a guide, a book, where he can easily see what to do with the litter. So where to put it. The litter you're producing on board, because it's an activity, you're producing litter on board, of course, like in a normal house, where to put it, how to separate it. So we produce these best guides with the fishers from here, from our coast, but the idea now is to expand these guides and all fishers to have it. And one thing that we found is that two things are key in order to have this system on board. They can have these best guides, so best practice guides, but first you need to work on them, how they can store it on board. So if we are talking about large boats, small boats, how you can find the space for them to store the litter. And again, and the other point that was something that was quite important, shown us by the fishers in NetTag, and now we want to work with them, is the port. So if you bring the litter to the port, what to do with it? And now we already have some legislation from the European Union regarding the port's activity. And so we are developing some questionnaires to contact the port and the port authorities in the different countries to really know their feedback and how this can be implemented, how the ports can receive it and then send it to recycling, to whatever treatment it's needed, and to work together with the fishers. So that's one thing. On the other hand, for instance, in Malta, the consortium, the partner in the consortium is actually the government of Malta. So they are the ones making the connection with the fishers. We also have WWF from the Mediterranean that will make all the links, and they also have a lot of contacts with different types of stakeholders. And of course, we then have the Commission, the European Commission. Actually, we are developing some videos and virtual reality stuff that can be presented very easily for instance, to Brussels, and how we propose this to work. But again, we want to have all these solutions done, co-created with the fisher. So in order that we don't just say, well, the fisher can bring litter. Yeah, they have a bucket in their boat and they can bring it. It's not like that, because they need to have the space. The boat is made for having fish and having space to bring the fish, not for the litter. And all of this needs to. And another thing is with the technology, so with the tags. Because when we thought about the tags, if you think about different gears and different fishing nets, for instance, if you think about the cage, well, one tag should be enough. If you think about a big net, well, they break, and you don't lose the entire net, you lose pieces. So you need more than one tag. Where do we put it? Because that needs to be done with the fishers. And again, if it's a very big net that you have on boat, how do you prepare and store your net with the tag and don't break the tag, or the tag doesn't prevent the net from fishing? because it's very easy to put something on the net, but then if it tampers with what the net is fishing, no one will use it. And this is the co-creation that we want. So we are actually bringing and making questionnaires and workshops with the fishers to have answers to this and to create something that is really viable, along with the best practice that what they can do with the litter and then how to recover in this case, the gears.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I hope the guidelines that will be produced from all of this will be posted through the Ocean Best Practices. I wanted to go back to Vesna, if that's all right, because my mind was picked, I don't know if that works in English, by the hackathon that you're preparing for next year. I just wanted to know if you could give us some details, because I'm sure that participants would be interested in knowing if there is any geographical restriction, what is the aim, like a more specific aim of this hackathon, and how they could be participating either as someone to help, like a scientist to support the hackathon, or a participant that could make a team and participate in the hackathon itself.
Yes, so it's gonna take place in the spring next year. It will be remote, so it can be anyone from anywhere. We will not pose any restrictions. If someone wants to hack this challenge, please, you're all very, very welcome. The idea is that it is remote and that we have some expert to give some initial input. Otherwise, or at least have expert in each group. It depends on who will register, but each group will have some sort of knowledge as well, not that they're just a bunch of people who would like to tackle the challenge, but they don't really have any background, because then it's really hard to do it, to be honest. So we want to provide the knowledge part. It will take place for 6 months. So it's going to be like a longer term. It's going to be a bit different format than usually when it's like, 1 day of intensive work and you work during the night and then you come up with something crazy in the morning. So it's going to be a tiny bit different. All details will be known through the social media. So please follow that. And if anyone is inspired to join or have an idea, because the topic is going to be zero waste. So we want to focus on the third pillar, on the prevention and reuse. So if anyone has a crazy idea or has something set up already and they can see a great collaboration or co-creation or anything like that, please do reach out. It's not absolutely determined. We have some flexibility in how we do it. So we are welcoming anyone who would like to join the challenge or co-create it even.
That's great. That's really great news, and I'm sure all participants will be really happy to know this. I see in the chat that René is reminding us that the video and the slides and the links that you just mentioned, Vesna, will be shared after these discussions to all participants. I see we have one question in the Q&A that has not been answered. I would guess it's either for Fantina, if she can reply, or maybe Marisa can have a go at it. It's regarding the EU zero waste initiatives. How do researchers envision achieving zero waste in the context of ongoing production processes? Would you like to have a go, Marisa?
Yeah, actually, it's not on me. I'm not sure how to go for the processes. So we need to, and Fantina wrote it here, we need to reduce production of plastics and increase recycling. I think that should be a great effort in the recycling, but maybe also on the production of less plastic types, because right now we have a bunch, too many polymers types. Mm-hmm. And that also difficults the recycling. So maybe we could start by that, trying to reduce the plastics and the type of plastics, to start focusing more on the recycling part, on making it. And actually, I think we also need to work a lot on the biodegradation of plastics. For instance, in NetTag Tools, we have a company that produces nets, so we are working with them also on all of these questions, namely where to put the tag and so on. But they are also very interested in the biodegradation of the nets and the biodegradable nets. But actually what they told us was that until now, there was no polymer that could be useful for them, you know. And then we start hearing a lot of biodegradable plastics, and then you realize, yeah, they are biodegradable, but if you put them in composting and in very, very specific. So, and at the end, we got the feeling that they are not so biodegradable. So I think that there should be a great effort on recycling, but also maybe on reducing the products.
Well, I think there is recycling, but there is also reuse and so on. And it actually makes me think that my glasses are made of fishing nets.
Yeah.
So there are some companies
that there's a lot of
if I can.
I was going to give you the floor, René. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, we had this discussion at several seminars that I was organizing, and my colleague from biology said it's what we in French we say it's a bad good idea. Everything is biodegradable. I mean, if you have a million year in front of you, it's okay. So, the main problem is that if you say that some plastic bags or whatever are biodegradable, that means that are disposed of in nature, and then they go to the ocean, of course. And then in the ocean, the problem, whatever the plastic bag is made of, is that the plastic, even biodegradable, is, let's say, the virus and all the contaminant, as I was replying, are making the pollution and are easy transported in another way, more directly. That is, even if the plastic bag is biodegradable, it's going to be transporting virus, which is not very good. So that's basically from the European point of view. There is the zero waste means that there is going to be regulation, enforcement, banning, fines. That's the only way. I mean, that's to do it. And also, well, we are lucky in France. For instance, the place I'm living in, Brittany, because there is a collection every other week of plastics and every other stuff like papers and so on, including plastic that have contained food, because now the recycling places, they can process that. So my trash is empty because coming on the 1st of January in France, 2024, everyone is going to be, it's going to be mandatory to have a compost. I know it's in my place, I have a big garden, so it's not a problem. Now in a big building, it's a bit more difficult, but it's mandatory. So that is I don't know how you can verify that, but in your trash, you are not going to be allowed in France to put your tomatoes and whatever you dispose of. You have to have a compost. So,
but so this means it is, because I've been to conversation about PLA, which is this biodegradable, compostable plastic, but even in the city compost, it doesn't compost. They only compost in industrial compost. So it is time to, get the word out that PLA is not the solution, and it's not the meetings I had with, and it was with plastic consortiums, lobbies, and they were, saying that PLA was the solution. But from what we see is that there is a lot more PLA discarded in nature because people think it's compostable as, in like this nature. I just want to, since you're,
I think we are a bit over
since
the
you have
time,
the floor, René, I first of all always
Zacharie,
always
I will,
finding a time to advertise for Brittany. And also another thing that you know about René, first is Brittany, second one is he's an expert in remote sensing. So you're gonna I'm gonna send you the question I had for Kostas, which was what are the identified steps for creating and maturing best practices for remote sensing of marine litter?
it's
It's a hard one, huh?
General de Gaulle was saying it's the question is very large. Best practice in this case, the community of remote sensing mainly is satellite based. So on the one hand, the best practices are going to go through recommendation of the technologists and the researchers for a given sensor to put on the satellite in order to do some detection of something. And that is already something that is, let's say, commonly supported by the community. So it's a best practice by itself. Once it is in the air or above, then it's almost a standard. I would say in the remote sensing community, the best practices would be how to use the different informations from the different sensors, because there are a great variety of sensors in the visible, optical, and then radars, and then infrared, and so on and so on. So the challenge is to put that together, because they see the same place, but they don't see the same thing. And so best practices, in my opinion, is to try to achieve some kind of integration between what the sensors are detecting, measuring, what the surface itself, if we are talking about the ocean, what the surface itself is not still, it's moving. So how Zacharie was talking about the currents, for instance, how are the currents moving? So you need modelization. And you need also in situ measurement, and you need to put that together. So that what, by the way, you call IMDOS, is trying to achieve, that is an integrated way of observing and from every different sources. So that when, because that's my field, when the mathematics, what we call deep learning or artificial intelligence come in, that is, you pick all this and pieces of information, you put that together, and you deliver some answers. That's the best part of the artificial intelligence. You don't ask ChatGPT to do that, of course. And I think we are about half an hour above, but it's interesting.
I thought it was ending at 5:30.
Oh, well, maybe not. Anyway, Zacharie, I will let you have the floor just after, but just one remark. It's quite interesting to see that this challenge is about marine pollution, and we don't talk anymore about oil pollution coming from, discharging boats and or accident and so on. And I think that it's at the same time, it's intriguing, and the answer could be that because we focused so much 25 or so years ago on this problem, that it had a deterring effect. That is, now the transportation of the oil is by tankers, which are very, very adapted. I mean, they have a double hull. They know that they are seen from space, and which was not exactly the case when I was doing research on that in the beginning of or the end of the 90s, beginning of 2000. Not enough satellites, not enough sensors on satellite, and so on. Nowadays, you know that you are observed from space, and so can we do that for plastic? That's my question. And Zacharie, you wanted to intervene, so I'll let you the floor.
Okay, thank you. It's true. I didn't talk about oil pollution. No, oil pollution is a reality. We know that we have a flow of oil with a tanker and so on. Mainly from Benin, for example, we have Nigeria, our neighbor, we producing a lot of oil. And we have also some points of collective oil. In this point, also, I think that we can, we should face this issue as a problem. We should solve this problem too. I think that, and when I mentioned that the resolution of this problem should be a common, regional issue, because we cannot fight alone successfully with this process, with marine pollution. We should have this action together in some region. And we know that we are not talking now about on the seabed, for example, bottle, and sometimes we go to seabed. That is a real issue. We just see what we have on surface, and what is going down, we don't know which quantity is going there. And this quantity going on the seabed affect most of the animals, most of the resources. That's a very big challenge. No, we know that if we are fighting against what is going on the surface, then most of them we should have, most of them is not going down, because they come from the surface to going down. And then the action we should give is it should be very quickly action to return most of them on the surface and to manage them according to our possibility, according to our what we have to do it.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Just to answer this last part there, you know what we used to say, that we know the surface of the moon, of Mars, of Venus much better than the seafloor, much better.
Yes. That's very true. But I think, and I'm sorry, it ran for half an hour more. Yeah. I did not catch that. Very sorry again. But the discussion was interesting, and to be honest, I'm actually really happy I moderated this, and I got to know Zacharie, Marisa, and Vesna a little bit more and their projects, because I'm sure that collaboration is on the horizon for us. And I want to close with, what Zacharie just said: we need action now. And this is why we have this amazing project, and this is why Global Planet, Ocean Best Practices, the IOC in general, will continue advocating for action against marine pollution to make sure that we end this decade, hopefully, with end this decade with a cleaner ocean instead of a clean ocean. Anyways, let's be optimistic. Thank you for all of you for retaining your attention for this long. I will give back the floor to René, the organizer of this event, and thank you again.
Okay, well, just a few words. Thank you all. I mean, that was so entertaining. And of course, I also say that to the one who are not yet, who are not anymore with us, but maybe following from their telephone. Thanks again. I mean, that, as I said, was a very pleasant series of presentation, very broad on the subjects, and I think we can have 2 or 3 more sessions. I said we won't have enough time again. So the week is continuing with 2 other sessions during the last 3 days, possibly 6. I think 5 finally. One is not. So the session are usually let's say 1 hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. Today was special. And also I would like to thank, of course, José, because he is behind everything, and all the participants. We had more than 50 and still 35 or more. So thanks a lot. Thanks to all. Bravo. Have a nice end of day.
Exactly.
Thank you very
Have a nice
much.
day. Bye bye. Thank you.